Welcome back to my movie review series. On this episode, I'll be doing the review on the 2007 20th Century Fox animated movie, and this one is The Simpsons movie. The movie was premiered on July 21, 2007. The movie airs on FX, FXX, and streaming on Disney+, Hulu, Apple TV, and Amazon Prime Video. After finishing a concert at Lake Springfield, Green Day tries to engage the audience in a discussion about the environment, but the people refuse to listen and instead throw trash at them. The pollution in the lake erodes the band's barge, causing them to sink and drown. During their memorial, Grandpa Simpson has a spiritual experience and frantically prophesies that a disaster will befall Springfield, but only Marge takes it seriously. Concerned about the terrible state of the environment, Lisa and her new friend, Colin, hold a seminar and convince the town to clean up the lake. Meanwhile, following a series of dares, Homer and Bart go to Krusty Burger, where Homer adopts a pig to save it from being killed by Krusty the Clown. Marge, identifying the pig as a part of Grandpa's prophecy, warns Homer to get rid of it, but he refuses. Homer's fawning over the pig makes Bart, now fed up with his father's carelessness, look to their neighbor, Ned Flanders, as a father figure. Homer stores the pig's feces in an overflowing silo, disgusting Marge. Homer attempts to dispose of it safely at Marge's request, but when he learns Lard Lad's Donuts is giving away their donuts for free after being shut down by the health inspector, Homer, to get to the giveaway faster, dumps the silo in the lake, critically polluting it. Moments later, a squirrel stumbles into it after being chased by a raccoon and becomes severely mutated with many eyes, another part of the prophecy. While bonding on a hike, Bart and Ned notice the squirrel, which is captured by the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. Russ Cargill, head of the EPA, informs President Arnold Schwarzenegger on Springfield's pollution crisis. As a response, the president orders the Federals to imprison Springfield under a giant glass dome, completely fulfilling the prophecy. When Homer's silo is discovered on live television, most of the townspeople form an angry mob and attempt to lynch them. The family escapes through a sinkhole, which destroys their house afterwards, and flees to Alaska, where they try to restart their lives. Within 93 days, Springfield completely exhausts its daily supplies and the townspeople lose their sanity while trying to escape from the dome. Cargill, who does not want word of his imprisonment of Springfield to spread, plots to destroy Springfield by tricking the president into ordering its demolition. The Simpsons see a television advertisement, featuring Tom Hanks, for a new Grand Canyon on the side of Springfield. Realizing that their hometown is in danger, all of them decide to save it, except for Homer, who refuses to help the people who tried to kill them. A distraught Marge leaves behind a video explaining they have no intentions of returning recorded over their wedding video, causing him to run off in search of them. After an encounter with a mysterious Inuit shaman who saves him from being eaten by a polar bear, Homer has an epiphany about saving the town to save himself. Meanwhile, his family is captured by the EPA in Seattle and placed back inside the dome. Now it's up to Homer to not only save his family and all of Springfield, but also has to regain their trust. The story is very well written and stays very loyal to the tone and spirit of the show by being very funny and very heartfelt, and does it all while also raising the stakes by having a slightly darker tone than usual. And there's also some pretty heavy drama. And the best part is that it's all structured and paced very well to where it doesn't feel like just an extended episode of the series. Also, since this is a movie, it allows them to get away with some more crude humor that they couldn't do on the show. The movie has a very solid sense of humor that's very similar to how the humor was during the show's golden age, and does result in some very funny moments like the witty banter and dialogue between the characters, the gags and slapstick, some of the more wacky scenes, the adult jokes, and the references. The movie also has some very strong heart and drama which does lead to some pretty tender and heartfelt moments like Bart's growing bond with Ned, and Homer and Marge's relationship and how it's put to the brink here. The movie also ups the ante by having some pretty cool and intense action scenes like the angry mob going after the Simpsons which culminates with their house being destroyed, and Homer and Bart motorcycling up the dome to throw the bomb through the hole before it blows. The animation has definitely received an upgrade from how the show looked at the time, and arguably hasn't looked as good since. The characters all still have their iconic and recognizable designs and some pretty fluid movements. The backgrounds have received the biggest update and look very grand with more detail than normal, and there are some pretty solid effects like the fire, water, and the movie's use of CGI. The characters are all still their same lovable selves from the series, as they still have some pretty solid chemistry and dynamics, and a couple do have some interesting character arcs here. Homer is a very solid and likable protagonist, as even though he does have his jerky and selfish moments, overall he's still the same lovable oaf we've come to know and love, and he does go through a solid arc about saving those he loves in order to save himself. The other Simpsons are just as solid and do have some arcs of their own, like Marge being at the end of her rope with Homer with everything he does here, which puts their relationship to the test. Bart still being as mischievous as ever but having a solid connection with Ned, and Lisa and her relationship with Colin. Also, Maggie has some pretty funny moments. The supporting characters from the show may not be as important here as they were in the show, mainly because the movie focuses on the title characters, but they still do have some pretty funny moments. But really the only ones that are prominent are Ned, who does act as a solid and caring father figure to Bart, and then there's Colin, who serves as Lisa's love interest, but he doesn't really do anything. Russ Cargill is a pretty good villain, as while he is just doing his job as head of the EPA, the way he executes his plans do seem to have a sinister goal in mind, but at the same time he can be pretty funny. The voice acting is just as solid as it was in the show, which does result in some great performances like Dan Castellaneta as Homer, Julie Kavner as Marge, Nancy Cartwright as Bart and Maggie, Yeardley Smith as Lisa, Harry Shearer as Ned, Albert Brooks as Russ Cargill, and many more. The music by Hans Zimmer is very well composed, is really fitting for the franchise, and does capture the movie's comedic and dramatic tone. 9 out of 10. Even though this movie was released long after the show's heyday, this movie feels like it came directly from that period, and is really worth checking out, especially if you're a major fan of The Simpsons.